are trying to lead with flavor, lead with taste, make it obvious that this is something that's going to taste good, regardless of the benefits. Like that's like an added reason, or like maybe that's why it's more expensive than a regular soda.
And I want a good show, damn it. Ready for a good show?
Doing awesome. Yeah. I'm excited to talk to you, Angie. Thank you for having me.
Yes.
I've always been big into archery, and my dad said, "Hey, you guys want to start an archery store?" Yes, that's how it was.
Yes, of course. Let's do this together.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the E-Comm Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the E-Comm Show. I'm your host, Andrew Maff, and today I am joined by the amazing Kevin Land, who is the Director of E-Commerce over at Health-Ade. Kevin, how you doing? Ready for a good show?
Yeah, so far so good.
Beautiful. Appreciate you joining us. I am super excited to have you on the show because I'm also a customer. I have like 3 bottles of Health-Ade in my refrigerator right now, which is perfect. So obviously, big fan of the brand, but I would love to pretend that no one knows anything about you and tell us a little bit about your background, obviously about Health-Ade, and we can take it from there.
Sure. And you could have more than 3 bottles in your fridge because we're 40% off for Black Friday, Cyber Monday for a couple more days.
Oh, there you go.
It's,
Nice plug.
12 packs. Yeah, you like that? Yeah, my name's Kevin. I was hired for a weekend by Health-Ade in 2014 to do production assistant work at a small event when the company was just barely sold in 3 states. I thought kombucha was kind of weird at the time. Had only tried it through like an ex-girlfriend once or twice, and never liked it. But the event was super cool. It was a music festival. Met all the founders. I found them to be just like super positive and encouraging people, and really excited at a time when I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And we hit it off, and they offered me work, and I was moving to LA where the company's based. That event had been up in SF, where I was living at the time. And yeah, just kind of started doing some more part-time work for them, and then got slotted into full-time work through field marketing, which was a big part of Health-Ade's kind of like rise to success. I think I alluded to it briefly, but like the taste of kombucha has been such a big learning curve for people, and Health-Ade tasting so good has made it a lot more accessible to folks. And then we just kind of built e-commerce as almost like a marketing gimmick in 2017, I think, and it was local only to LA. And then we just sort of built it out from there, and then we started to look at it as like a real channel as the pandemic set in and people were buying everything online. And I was able to find some value, kind of taking the helm. So here we are.
Nice. Well, so you've been with them for a while now. Did you have experience in like e-commerce and marketing field or anything prior to that?
No, I was coming from like the event production world. So,
Yeah.
the Health-Ade event really was just like from people I had met doing like festival productions, and I was an AV. I had a business background, so like, I had studied a lot out of college. I think I was only 2 years out of college at the time. So, had was comfortable with networking and just trying on different things. But no, yeah, I mean, we've really built it from the ground up, and there's not a lot of kombucha e-commerce still to this day, so we're still kind of like pioneering. But that's the tough thing with shipping beverages to people's homes, is it's not the most appealing business model for some.
Yeah, so that was definitely one of the things I really wanted to touch on was like CPG brands in general are difficult. Beverage brands are traditionally typically even harder simply because of cost and shipping and all that. Then you tack on that I believe you're cold shipped and your glass, correct?
Yes and no. We are glass, that is true. But we actually were able to stop cold shipping earlier this year. So we still cold store everything. But after like extensive testing with R&D, commercialization, we were able to prove that the product stays safe for usually a few days longer than any of our longest shipping lanes would require. So that was a big win when we were able to show that was safe. Because it's like not just the ice packs themselves are expensive and heavy to ship. But when you need an ice pack, it changes the required shipping carton that you need to get the
Yeah.
12 pack of kombucha out, right? So we have a lot more options now for how we pack and ship it. And it's both lighter and less expensive, but more importantly, like we're just breaking fewer bottles in the shipping process, which is better for customers, of course.
Yeah. So you mentioned that in the beginning, a lot of the focus was on the field marketing side. Have you continued to scale in that direction? Are you kind of pivoting more into a digital side? Like, what's been the strategy there?
Yeah, I mean, Health-Ade, at that time, kombucha was much smaller, Health-Ade was much smaller. And the change from field marketing is now, that's kind of years behind us. We continued after we kind of calmed down on the events. Because like when I started, I was running 5 events a weekend in just LA, and we had like 10 field
Jeez.
marketing people in the country. So it was nonstop for a couple years. Farmers markets, festivals, vegan food festivals, whatever you name it. And all the while we were also doing in-store demos, and those tend to be like the holy grail of field marketing because it's like, try this,
Yeah.
it's on the shelf right there, go buy it, and it works. You're on, especially if you're on sale for $1 off or something, like you'll like move cases of kombucha through a Whole Foods. So we continued and might even still be continuing actually on the demo front. As I've like Ecomm is interesting at Health-Ade. Like I sit on the marketing team, but we are a sales channel. So I'm still like closely tied to marketing folks in a way that maybe other sales leads might not be. Um, so, at trade marketing, who runs more of our demo program, and even the field marketing stuff that we do continue to do, which tends to be like more VIP product placement as opposed to like, liquid to
Yeah.
lips aggressive sampling. Because we're closer and closer to being a household name. We're the second
Yeah.
largest kombucha brand in the company besides, a 30-year-old giant. So um, it's just, yeah, it's less important to get all that field marketing done as it was when we were still building brand awareness and household penetration. But in general, like retail is the vast majority of our focus. But e-commerce is still, at a top line, it's between 2 and 3% of the company's revenue. So it's
Yeah.
significant in that sense. We're a small team. But the digital marketing focus tends to be more now on brand awareness in general, and we're just like always
Mhm.
going to provide that option for e-commerce. But if we get someone to go to the store and buy one bottle, that's still a win, and it's a little bit harder of a sell to be like buy 12 now. um,
Exactly.
so yeah, it's kind of a something that we deem as necessary and valuable, and it's the only sales channel where we can have a direct line of communication to these loyal customers that are willing to buy a 12 pack or subscribe even. Like our most loyal consumers are buying a 12 pack that ships every month or every 3 weeks or whatever. And we can talk to them anytime, and they can ask us questions. And that's really like an even more valuable aspect of continuing to do e-commerce, even though it is a relatively small portion of this business.
Do you find that the most of the e-commerce purchases are retaining customers, like people that have purchased maybe in store, tried it, and then just wanted to buy it in bulk, or do you think it's mostly net new people?
Um, I mean, it's probably people that have tried it before. Like I don't think a ton of folks are like, let me try kombucha and start with a 12 pack. And I think a good way to sort of prove that out is over like August and September, there was a TikTok trend around kombucha and like dieting that really blew up. And Health-Ade has never pushed diet culture or said, like you got to drink this to lose weight or anything like that. It's really not our ethos. We're more about like the health it takes to be happy and like
Yeah.
enjoy your life and eat the nachos if you want to. It's fine. You have some kombucha, it'll help, kind of thing. But this trend really took off, and we saw our retail sales reach record highs, right? And it didn't really have a huge impact on e-commerce, even though like they were right there. The videos were on TikTok. They could literally click over to our profile and buy it there. But I think it's just because if you're going to try it for the first time, it's a lot easier to buy a bottle or two than 12. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'd say typically we're getting people who know what they're getting into, and they really like it and they're ready to commit because it's fridge space too, right? Like we
Hmm.
started talking about cold, and we're on sale right now, and we're like our Black Friday sale is going great. It's been live in some capacity since the 17th. Today's the 29th, and you know, you could be the biggest super fan ever, but if you don't have room in your fridge for 36 bottles, it's hard to stock up too. So there's that element. but yeah, our returning customer rate when we're not doing a big sale tends to sit between 40 and 50% on Shopify anyways, and you could take those data with a grain of salt sometimes, but yeah, it seems like we have that loyal base, but we're always bringing in new folks. And my assumption is that the majority have at least tried the product before or tried kombucha before, anyways.
You'd mentioned, the field marketing, and then you mentioned the TikTok thing. So it really it sounds like a lot of word to mouth is really what kind of caters to this. So I imagine, is there a strong like influencer marketing approach or like affiliate marketing? Are you doing anything in that direction?
Totally, yeah. We have, we've been working with the same PR firm as a company for 5 or 6 years, and then we kind of handed them the keys to e-com affiliate marketing just in the last year. So we're on Impact Network, and we're always finding people that want to create content and link out to e-commerce.
Yeah.
So that's an alive and active channel for us, certainly.
Yeah. I find that with CPG brands, especially in the beverage space, like no one wants to be, well, not only does no one want to be like the first person to ingest something, so new product launches or even just newer brands, like that can be a big struggle getting it moving. And then the
Hmm.
other side of it, to your point, is like no one wants to pay shipping for a single bottle of something. They typically have to do some kind of sizable pack. And if they haven't tried it before, it's not very justifiable. So when you're doing your brand awareness and you've got your different campaigns that you're running, are you staying focused in the certain areas that you're currently available, or are you trying to do nationwide and then hoping to get into retail because of that brand awareness?
Yeah, I'd say like we double down in areas that were successful. I remember years ago we called them like super target cities, and it's like LA, New York, San Francisco, some of these like
Yeah,
major metro areas just love kombucha, so we want to make sure that we're showing up for those folks. But Health-Ade's sold in over 40,000 stores already, so like we have nationwide reach is still going to be valuable, kind of
yeah.
wherever we run. Yeah.
If you're if your digital marketing aspects are focused on a brand awareness side, and so you can easily tie e-commerce sales to that, but it's obviously very difficult to tie retail sales to that. How are you factoring in like customer acquisition costs? How do you decipher like what's working and what's not, so that you know how to push and pull if really your main target is simply just reach?
Yeah, and that's an ongoing battle. And like this year especially, we built the ecom forecast around like a very specific return on ad spend for e-commerce. Um, and we were sort of like approved to lose even a certain amount of money on this advertising because to pay ourselves back if we're going to advertise for ecom specifically, we need to get like a crazy return because our product is
Yeah,
so expensive to fulfill, right? And we've just found that it's very difficult to reach those numbers, and we're almost better off like pulling the brakes on e-com specific advertising and making sure it pays for itself, which is the direction we're more moving in next year. Which again will still remain like a 2 or 3% section of the company, but rather than trying to aggressively grow and put a lot of pressure on the advertising uh, to return aggressively, we can focus more on just the reach, which is a little harder to measure. There are places like Instacart, Amazon Fresh, where there's like buy online platforms where you can actually get a measure on those results. And if you see the ad is working there on those websites and you're using similar creative elsewhere and it's getting a lot of impressions, a lot of click through, then you can kind of like make some assumptions. And then, of course, if it's a geographical target, if you run a campaign in Miami for 3 weeks and suddenly sales are higher, like you can draw those conclusions. But that's like ever a game, right? So like even as we were approved to like lose this money on e-commerce advertising, it's all still awareness. Like, yeah, you want to
yeah,
target bottom and low and upper funnel differently, but like if my bottom of funnel ads turn into zero e-commerce conversions, that's still people who are going to recognize us when they go into the store.
yeah.
But luckily we do convert. It's a bit
There
of
you go.
both.
So you'd mentioned, that was actually my next question. You mentioned the Instacart and Amazon Fresh and stuff. Are you also available on the other marketplaces? Like, do you also have the product from an e-commerce perspective, like available on Amazon or Walmart or any of those other places?
Yep, I mean, through Shopify, we're running on Walmart, Amazon, TikTok. Etsy even has like a connector now. I don't know if we've had any sales on there yet. I just set that one up, but yeah. And there's like even
Huh,
a couple wholesale channels. There's one called Fair with an E at the end. So we've done
what's
some
that
sales
do?
on there. And then we have our own like custom wholesale platform. So, you know, if you're a small retailer, liquor store, whatever, and you don't want to meet the MOQs of a local DSD, we can set you up on Ecom for a while and you'll get a discounted wholesale price. So yeah, I mean, between among all those channels, like the number one and two are our website, our subscribers, and then Amazon. But yeah, we want to be on all those channels, and that's just through Shopify. But then omni channel, we're on Amazon Fresh, we're on GoPuff, we're on Thrive Market, um, Imperfect Foods, aka Misfits Market. So yeah, there's a handful of like online channels that we are doing pretty well in. Um, but those it's just like route to market wise, there's so much more oversight required for like the day to day on e-commerce, just because we're dealing with third party logistics and it's not through our if you're GoPuff and Amazon Fresh are buying from our biggest distributors, so there's not a ton of like hand holding that needs to be done. We like have some meetings, set our marketing budget, and go from there.
Yeah,
Versus monitoring inventory like a hawk and making sure customers that are reaching out are happy. It's just a very different world.
yeah. So you mentioned the subscriber side. I wanted to ask you about that too. So obviously having some kind of, subscribe and save option makes a lot of sense because you have to more or less stay refrigerated at least most of the time. So you can only bulk up if your refrigerator can hold so much.
Sure.
So it seems like a very logical thing for some of your top customers to do. How is the subscribe and save doing? How did you start promoting it? Like, tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just built it in because it was so easy. Like Shopify makes everything so easy to do, right? And then we just watched like people were signing up for it, and whether that's because it was 10 or 15% off. I think we're doing 15 now. I think we started at 10 a few years ago. But we just saw it growing. So we started like running more promotions to draw people in. Like, hey, your first subscription will actually be 25% off, and then it'll revert to 15. There's like old school tricks like when you're on the website, you have the radio button for subscription as the default option before the one-time purchase. So at least people will consider it. Um, and when it comes to like the Black Friday sale or any of our big promotions, we'll like reach out to those customer cohorts first, give them like early access or extra loyalty points if they buy on a certain weekend. So just anything we can do to show them that like we're grateful because yeah, having that like
Hmm.
recurring revenue, predictable even at times, is really valuable to us, and we want to show them that we're here to support.
Do you do anything in store to try to, use that as a channel to get them into the ecom, ideally into subscribe and save, or vice versa? Or do you try to get people from ecom to be like, hey, this is your closest store? Like, what's that
Yeah,
approach like?
I'd say like the most like direct link that we just built. So this is like a very, very recently live, like a week or two. Or I think we might not have even published it yet. Maybe I was just looking at the Figma file, but like will be part of our loyalty program, which is, the loyalty program really exists to support e-com purchasing. You get points. I'm sure you've done it on any number of, brands you've shopped online, but we have a show your receipt for points option. So, normally you get points if you follow us on Instagram or buy this many cases on Ecom or what have you.
Yeah.
Now we'll have an option where if you upload a receipt from an in-store purchase, you can get points towards an e-commerce purchase. So that's like a very direct example of like, hey, keep buying in store and you can benefit on e-commerce. And then on the flip side, every e-commerce customer for the most part is going to wind up receiving our marketing messaging. So if we are like launching a new flavor at Sprouts or at Whole Foods or Kroger, like we can communicate that to you. But um, over the years, I remember like I like helped build Health-Ade's customer experience channel as it exists today. I was literally the guy in Zendesk for about a year in 2019. Um, and we'd often wind up shipping coupons to people for this or that, mix up like the store or a broken bottle in e-com, what have you. And one thing that has been almost impossible to find, and I still don't think we have a good one, is a digitally generated coupon that you can use in store for like a free bottle. I mean, for a discount they exist, but it's just risky, right? Because, you know, as soon as someone figures out how to print it themselves, um, you know, it's just a lot harder to manage. So, yeah, I'd say the receipt program, and then just, you know, communicating with our customers that are around and available.
Do you? So you know, we talked about like the marketing side and the brand awareness side. Kombucha is very interesting, right? Because it's you have people that drink it are big fans, and then you
Mm,
have people that are like, and they kind of are weary on the taste, which I know that's a big side of Health-Ade, is it doesn't taste like most kombucha.
right.
What would you do? Is most of your marketing focused on educating the consumer on the benefits of kombucha, or are you going after people that are already kombucha fans and you're just trying to steal market share, or would you say it's like a little bit of both?
This is the $1 million question, right? And we've gone different ways over the years, right? Like, uh, last year and the year before, we were really focused on being gut health champions. So all of our messaging was like gut health forward, probiotics, education, all of these things. But as we've done more and more consumer research, which is something, you know, we've only been able to afford in the last year or two, um, it's just not as important to customers as taste. So like, we are trying to like lead with flavor, lead with taste, make it obvious that this is something that's going to taste good, regardless of the benefits. Like that's like an added reason, or like maybe that's why it's more expensive than a regular soda, because it has these health benefits. But ultimately, like, it's a really tasty drink, that, you know, can go with just about anything. So,
Yeah.
it's gone back and forth over the years, but I'd say at the moment we are like thinking flavor, and we're launching some exciting new stuff in the beginning of next year, which will be available on Ecom in February or late January. um, and that especially, we're like looking for we call them healthy-ish, like, you know, people who would prefer to eat healthy, but they're not like necessarily going to like drastically impact their life to buy
Yeah.
organic every single time. Um, those are kind of like the new customers we're looking for. And then, yeah, you have our like super dedicated, always healthy, taking shots of apple cider vinegar crew that,
Yeah.
have been loyal from the beginning.
Yeah. I was saying, because that's originally what had got my wife had turned me on to it. She's a big kombucha fan across the board, but I would
Nice.
try some of these other brands and I'd be like, this is rough. And then
Oof.
she's like, try it. She had got Health-Ade. She got a camera which store she got to have. She brought it over and she's like, just try this one. It's very different. And it's like, okay, this makes a lot more sense in a direction to go in. So there's a lot more lines. So I loved it. I was like, oh, this is great. So now that's the only thing we buy because it's the only one I'll actually drink. But
Amazing.
I can see how the education side for someone to learn, like, oh, kombucha is good for you, if they've even tried it before but it wasn't Health-Ade and they didn't like the taste, it's going to be tough to get them to try it again. Usually it takes a while for them to be like, oh, let me come and try it again.
Try a different one. Exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
like, I even when I got hired for that event way back when, it's like, it was free. So I was like, okay, I'll try it. You
Yeah,
know, but like,
exactly.
I hadn't bought a bottle yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, it takes some convincing for sure, but the
Yeah.
taste goes a long way.
Yeah, I agree. Kevin, thank you so much for your time. I don't want to take up too much more of it. I know you're super busy over there, but I'd love to give you an opportunity to tell everyone more about where they can find you and, of course, more about Health-Ade.
Awesome. Yeah. Health-Ade, still making the best tasting and highest quality kombucha you can buy. We're based in Southern California, so, you know, you'll see us here more than anywhere else. And you can find us on, Instagram at Health-Ade, Twitter at Drink Health-Ade, Facebook.com/Health-Ade. By all means, reach out. You can send us a message on any of these channels. You can, ask for me directly if you have thoughts on this show, or, you know, questions about anything that came up with Andrew and me today. Um, yeah, and, you know, that's pretty much it. Happy to join you for this conversation, and share a little bit more about the Health-Ade background and Ecom specifically, and hope to, you know, connect again soon.
Perfect. Appreciate it, buddy. Thanks for being on the show. Everyone who tuned in, of course, thank you as well. Please make sure you do the usual: rate, review, subscribe, all that fun stuff on whichever podcast platform you prefer, or head over to the ecommshow.com to check out all of our previous episodes. But as usual, I will see you all next time, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you for tuning in to the E-Comm Show. Head over to ecommshow.com to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform or on the BlueTuskr YouTube channel. The E-Comm Show is brought to you by BlueTuskr, a full-service digital marketing company specifically for e-commerce sellers looking to accelerate their growth. Go to BlueTuskr.com now for more information. Make sure to tune in next week for another amazing episode of the E-Comm Show.